Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I can't wait, I'm interviewing Michele Greene from LA Law, one of my favorite actresses. Oh, I love her so much. You may remember her, she was in LA Law, she was on my favorite episode of Laverne and Shirley, Angora Debs, Angora Debs. And she was in so many TV movie of the weeks too. We're going to talk about all that stuff today. And this is St. Patty's Day weekend, which is why I'm wearing green, so you don't have to pinch me across from the screen. And yeah, get to interview Michele Greene. I'm so lucky. I love all the guests I've been getting on this show. So yeah, I will be interviewing Michele Greene in just a few moments. Hi, Michele. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, it is such an honor because you're one of my favorite actresses.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I had the biggest crush on you growing up and used to watch you all the time.
Oh, you were funny.
This is the perfect day because it's St. Patty's Day weekend and your last name is Greene.
That's true, and I am of Irish American descent. So.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm a little Irish on my dad's side. His mother was 100% Irish, and she was from Kentucky.
You know, I think we're all a little bit Irish, honestly. But
yeah,
anyone who's not should just try to be.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. So when did you know you wanted to become an actress?
I think in high school. You know, prior to that, I was like one of those kids who was always in drama as my extracurricular activity. Mm-hmm. I was not particularly good at sports, and that was just sort of like my world, you know, that I fit into. And then by the time I was in the beginning of high school, I sort of thought, well, maybe I'll, really do this.
Yeah. And one of your first jobs, you got to be on my favorite episode of Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, I'll tell you something. That was my second job that I ever got.
Wow. I
had done a horrible pilot. It was just dreadful. Mm-hmm. Called Dorothy, with Dorothy Loudon, who at the time was coming off of this big hit Broadway show. She was in Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
And we were just building a TV sitcom around her, and it was similar to The Facts of Life, but like The Facts of Life was really good compared to this one.
Yeah.
But that was my first gig, and then that ended. We shot it in a month, and luckily it didn't go anywhere. And then I went in and I read for Laverne and Shirley, and I got that job.
Awesome. You were, what, 16 or 17?
I was 17. I remember that was a job where I still needed a guardian. Mm-hmm. I was still 17. I wasn't 18 yet, yeah. And that was like the summer before I started college. Mm-hmm. I think I got that job in like August, and I started school in September.
Wow. Yeah, I've had Tracy Reiner on the show. She said, you guys had a lot of fun making that episode. It was hard to keep a straight face with Lenny and Squiggy in drag.
Oh, yeah. It was so great. I mean, I remember Michael McKean was so incredibly kind and generous to me. It was, the second job I'd ever done, right?
Right.
I had no idea. I was not a kid who had grown up doing commercials and working with cameras, and I hadn't been doing guest shots since I was a small child. I was just sort of in this world. And I remember Michael McKean was so incredibly nice, and Betty Garrett as well.
Oh, nice.
It was a great experience. I loved it.
Yeah, I had David Lander on a couple of months ago, and I met E.G. Daily 2 years ago at a convention. She is such a doll.
Isn't she great? I mean, she's a terrific actress. I know She really is. I know she has a huge career in voiceovers, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, she is such a terrific actress. I just, yeah, I haven't seen her in years, but she's really a wonderful actress.
Yeah, talented lady. Did you see any of the infamous tension between Penny and Cindy on the set?
No, I didn't see too much. You know, they're so professional. You know, it was like I never really saw anything.
But they were great to work with, right?
Oh, they were fabulous. They were fabulous. They were so funny. They were great. They were really, you know, we had me, E.G. Daly, of course, Tracy was on the show with her mom.
Yeah.
But, you know, they were so nice to all of us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. A lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people, when they do guest star roles on a show, the stars are always kind of mean to them, you know. You don't.
Yeah, sometimes. And I just remember that Tracy, I just thought Tracy was like the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Remember when she was there just thinking, this is the most beautiful girl I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's very funny like her mother.
Yeah. Oh, she's great. She's really great. But so yeah, it was, but they were so nice. It was just a lovely set. They were really wonderful people. The directors were really nice. Everybody was wonderful. I remember it was a great show because when I worked on the pilot before that, the director was kind of an asshole.
Awesome.
It was the writers on that show with Dorothy Lawson were two of the writers that had worked on I Love Lucy.
Oh.
Yeah, it was Bob Carroll and Madeline. Well, we just called them Bob and Madeline too. And they were fabulous. We had this sort of jerk director who was this guy who was a big TV director at the time who'd done all these big shows. And he was a very, very good director. His name was John Rich.
Oh my God. That was the first name that came to mind when you said that.
Boy, he was an ass, I remember.
Oh, yeah.
Rude. He was so rude and vulgar and horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Personally. But, you know, very good director, but, I hated him.
Yeah, I know John Rich's reputation. Oh, my God. And then you had a recurring role on Eight Is Enough.
I did.
Yeah, what was that like?
It was great. I mean, it was the first time I had ever worked with a film camera. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't understand the whole concept of like close-ups and over the shoulders and stuff. I'd only done 3 camera at that point, which was very much like doing a play. You know, they just kind of follow you around and you hit your marks and whatnot. And I just remember showing up to work and having no idea like how you worked with a film camera. And I just watched. I just kept my mouth shut and watched and said, okay, I'm going to just see how it works. And I'm not going to admit that I've never done this. And it was wonderful. It was great. I worked the day that I worked. The first day that I worked was the day before Willie Ames got married. Mm-hmm. And that was a time when people on set would like drink and, you know, you just don't see that really so much now. There's too much money at stake and whatnot. But yeah. I remember Willie Ames was totally drunk. He was like already celebrating like his like bachelor evening that he was going to have that night or something. And he was completely drunk. And I just remember his wife-to-be was there and he was super nice, you know, but he was completely drunk. Wow. And it was my first day, and I was like, okay, let's just, keep going, watch how they do it, figure it out, and, you know, luckily I didn't have a whole bunch to do with him. It wasn't a huge day, but he was completely drunk, I remember.
The things you could get away with back then, it's insane.
Yeah.
I forgot, were you on the same time as Ralph Macchio?
He was on periodically, yeah.
Yeah, what was he like?
He was nice. He was a very nice guy. I didn't. I hardly ever dealt with him, and I hardly had anything to do with him. So, I mean, working wise. Mm-hmm.
And Buddy Buckley from Carrie. She was great.
She was the greatest. Betty Buckley was the absolute greatest, like the greatest. She was so such a pro and so kind and so welcoming. I was very, very impressed with her, because I was aware of her theater career, and she was fabulous. I absolutely, I remember she was my favorite person on that show, and she kept telling me, it was one of those episodes I did, she kept telling me she wanted to fix me up with her brother.
And did she?
No, she never did. She invited me to a party at her house, right?
Yeah.
And I was so excited that I was going to go to this party at Betty Buckley's house. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But I had this really crappy car. I had this Volkswagen that I had bought, used at some dealer somewhere in El Segundo, and it was a crap. It was just a really unreliable car. But, it was a 1974 Volkswagen or something, and it was a bug, and it was always breaking down, And I remember there was a huge storm the night of this party that Betty Buckley was having, and I couldn't go because I didn't trust. It was far away from my house, and I didn't trust that my car would get there, and I couldn't go, and I was heartbroken. Just the idea of going to a party at Betty Buckley's house was going to be so fabulous. But I was home with my crappy car.
Wow. That sucks. And then you did a TV movie of the week called Desperate Lives, which is a powerhouse.
With Helen Hunt.
Yeah, a powerhouse cast with a hard-hitting message.
Oh yeah, it was one of those in crazy '70s anti-drug movies.
Yeah.
And it was one of a number of TV movies that I did with Helen Hunt where we played, we all those teen movies, right?
Yeah.
And we were both in this high school, and I don't know, one of those Bottoms brothers, I think it was Sam Bottoms was in it.
Yeah, Sam Bottoms.
And he was like this drug pusher, and he was selling drugs, pushing drugs on all these teenage kids. And I remember Helen Hunt's character was like a really good girl who smoked a joint and probably jumped out a window of a story building.
Yep.
And I was like a bad girl. I was like having a thing with the drug dealer in exchange for cocaine. And then when he cut me off, I killed myself.
Yeah.
Because I was so desperate for drugs. And it was, and the kid he was a kid, of course, at the time, the one who was in on Golden Pond, which was a huge hit at that point, I think.
Yeah.
And so it was fun. It was a fun movie. And, really nice people. And, I had a great early career. I really did.
Yes, you sure did.
I loved it.
Helen Hunt, one of her first roles, she played a teenage girl in The Facts of Life who smokes marijuana, coincidentally.
Yeah, she and I did another movie. She starred in it about a girl who was a true story. It was the beginning of that true story kind of thing that they used to do.
Yeah.
She played a girl who got hit by a car and was in a coma. And her family has written all these, sort of inspirational books about her recovery. And Helen and I did that movie as well. That was the first time we worked together. And we worked with Sharon Gless, who was spectacular.
Oh, yeah, I love Sharon Gless. I'm trying to get an interview.
Sharon Gless. She's so great.
Yeah, I'm trying to get an interview with her, too.
Wonderful.
What was Diana Scarwood like?
She was great. I know, I sound like some Pollyanna here, and I don't mean to, but
it's okay.
People I worked with later that I don't have that to say about. But Diana Scarwood was wonderful. She was a terrific actress. She was really, really good. And I remember we had to do a scene where she had to give me mouth-to-mouth resuscitation because I pass out in the swimming pool. And she's the teacher, and I think I'm all drugged up or something. And I had a really bad flu, a horrible flu. And the poor woman had to go through this scene where she gave me mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Wow.
And I felt bad because I was like, I know she's going to get this flu bug. She was a lovely person.
And even Dr. Joyce Brothers had a role in it.
I don't remember her. I don't remember that.
Yeah. What about Tom Atkins?
I don't remember Tom Atkins.
I met him at a convention. He's really nice.
Yeah, I don't. I don't remember everybody from that time, but
It happens. And so then you did L.A. Law, and this is where I fell in love with you.
Oh.
I know that Stephen Bochco had cast you on Bay City Blues
Right.
before. So did he offer you the role because he enjoyed working with you on that show?
Yeah. I didn't audition for LA Law or anything. He just offered me the role of Abby because I had really enjoyed Bay City. And it was a great cast with Perry Lang, with Ken Olin, Stone was in it, Michael Nouri, Kat Conroy, just wonderful, wonderful actors. Marco Rodriguez. It was a great cast, a really great cast, and it was very short-lived, which was a disappointment to everybody. But then when Stephen Bochco was doing LA Law, he he just sort of created the role of Abby Perkins and offered it to me, which was really nice,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great ensemble show. And David E. Kelly, he was just warming up, years before he did the practice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He came in as a young guy. He was like this young, new guy, new writer, after the first year or so. And it was sort of like, and then, he took over the show eventually. But he was, it was a really fun experience.
What attracted you to the role of Abby?
Abby was, what I liked about Abby was that she was a character who, a lot of the other characters on the show, especially the women, the women were so, the Ann Chelsea character, the Susan Day's character, Grace, they were like these sort of TV characters who always said and did the right thing. They always did and had the right retort. They said the right thing that you wished you would say, right? In real life, you go, boy, I wish I had it together enough to say that or respond that way. Abby was the person who, fumbled the way real people do.
Yeah.
Abby was the person who was insecure and uncertain and stumbled and made dumb mistakes and, got embarrassed and she was not, one of those kind of, what do you call that, wish fulfillment female characters where you go, boy, I wish I were like that. She was not. She was like the way people are. And I liked that. And I liked that she had an interesting storyline. I thought, as a young woman, a young lawyer with a really troubled personal life, who didn't always have, I had really good clothes for the wardrobe and stuff, but, she was not supposed to be one of those characters that was, always dressed in designer suits and always looked fabulous. She was a person who, she was making her way, and I like that about her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was looking on the internet for pictures of you on the show, and I couldn't believe all the 80s hairstyles you had.
Oh, yeah. Big giant hair.
Yeah. Initially, why did you leave the show?
Oh, I left the show because they just didn't renew my option. It was a really a huge shock to me. And you have to spin it a certain way when that happens. Like your PR people are like, okay, we have to make this look like you left voluntarily, but I didn't at all. At the end of that sixth season, fifth season rather, they had made my character a partner. They had made her, she'd gone away and come back, and it was really exciting. And then there was a producer on that show who was very hard to deal with for everybody in the cast, pretty much. And he had a really personal, sort of dislike of me. He just didn't like me. I'd known him since he'd been an AD. Mm-hmm. And I've known him for quite some time. He'd worked on Bay City Blues as well. And he had sort of come up through the ranks. And he, when he took on, became one of the executive producers of LA Law, his name was Rick Wallace. Mm-hmm. He was really difficult on pretty much all the cast members. He was very, very hard to deal with. We all used to say, he would call us up to his office, for something, and we'd all say, like Harry would say, "Oh, I'm gonna have to go up today." We'd say, "Oh, is it your turn to get raked over the coals?" Because he was just, he'd come down to the set and he'd make all these big issues about someone's hairstyle or, oh, I want this person to change their jacket, but you'd already shot half the scene, so you'd have to reshoot it again for some thing like a jacket, It was very difficult, and he didn't like me. And part of the reason he didn't like me is because he was like obsessed with my hair, and he was always asking me about my hairstyles. And I went to David Kelly when David was still there, and I said, "Could you please talk to him? Because it's crazy, he comes down to the set and makes this big stink about my hair, and my hair is not, that's not what I'm doing. I mean, like, my hair is done, and it's the same, and it's whatever it is, and it's really disruptive." And he was just waiting. He was waiting at that point for when David left, and he became the top dog. And it was completely personal, and he admitted it to me years later, and he apologized. It was absolutely this personal, vindictive, mean-spirited thing. And he just decided that they were not going to bring me back because, he didn't like me. And it threw everything into sort of chaos, and, all the other producers were like, "Well, what do we do now? We've made her a partner, and what do we do?" And I was completely blindsided. The show was a huge hit. My character was really popular. And suddenly my job was done, and my association with this show, which I'd been with since the pilot, was done completely for a just petty personal vendetta.
Oh, that is just...
And it was really upsetting to me, And years later, I ran into him at some event, and he made a beeline for me, and he said, "I really want to talk to you, and I want to take you to lunch." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, buddy." Yeah. And I went to lunch with him. I was just curious to see what he had to say, and he, flat out apologized. He said it was a horrible thing that I did, and I'm really sorry. So I wanted to say, well, I appreciate the apology. Thank you. And I felt like saying, perhaps you'd like to now pay me all the money that I would have made if I had stayed on. And it was, it was what it was. But it was very upsetting to me also because Stephen Bochco was leaving the show at that point.
Yeah.
And I had known Stephen for years. I had known Stephen for 10 years probably at that point. And I really had a real attachment to him. I thought of him, I thought of him as like a sort of father figure in a certain way. I'd met him when I was 21.
Yeah.
And now I was 30, so it was like 9 years later. And I, socialized with him. I'd, been to his house numerous times. I really considered him a friend, and I felt like he was someone who I started working with, very early in my career, and he had given me this huge break, and he knew that this was going to happen, and he just didn't. He was like, "Oh well, whatever," and it was the sort of thing that I know he could have prevented it,
Yeah.
But he didn't, because I was just like someone who didn't really matter,
Yeah.
And he never called me. He never called me to say, "I'm really sorry this happened." Nothing. He never called me.
Oh.
David called me, and he was like, "I'm very sorry, Michelle. This is terrible, blah, blah, blah." And he never called me. And then when I finally called him, he hemmed and hawed, and he said to me, "Well, the reason I'm calling you," and I said, "You're not calling me, I called you." And it was, it was like it was one of those moments that we all had in Hollywood, like every young actor, and I was not that young at that point, but every actor has those moments in Hollywood. Our industry is littered with broken friendships and people who think that someone who is their friend that they work with has some degree of loyalty to them or something, and it, like for me at the time, I was I'm not upset now at all, I couldn't care less, but at the time I was very upset because I really felt like that felt like such a huge letdown for me, you know what I mean? And even not even so much losing the job, because whenever I was doing a lot of TV movies, I went on and did a lot of other stuff that I liked doing. Yeah. But it was very upsetting to me at the time that I was really hurt that
That's
You know,
just that's
you
just
know that's what this industry is. You have all these people that you kind of think are your friends, and they're not your friends.
yep.
They're not your friends at all.
Yep, I'm finding it out all the time.
Oh yeah, that's just what it is. You know, you matter in a certain context for a certain period of time, and then you don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not. I'm not saying that like in some bitter way. It's just that's the way the industry works.
Yep, it sure does.
You need to make sure that your real friends and closest friends are your real friends. That are not necessarily people you work with.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm fortunate. I have really great friends, and I have a lot of great friends from college who I've had in my life way before I, started doing major TV stuff or anything. And that's important because, I would tell young actors that you make sure you have a really good support network that are not the people you're working with on a show,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that are not other, like, there's a certain, like, little circle of other people, like other actors who are on shows at this particular time or in movies or singers or musicians, people that are in your sort of fame realm and celebrity realm and whatnot. And that's great. You meet a lot of those people when you're working, and of course you become friends with them. They're usually interesting people and you have a lot in common, but always make sure you have friends outside of that,
Of course, yeah.
There's a lot of things that influence those relationships that are, how shall we say, they're like relationships built on a certain time in your life, what's going on in your life, right?
Yeah, they're relevant to what's going on in your life.
Yeah, they're very relevant to what's going on right now. But and I have plenty of friends who, I would say friends for a time. Friends who were good friends who were, were my best friend or a really good friend of mine when I was working a lot in TV, and then if you're not working as much, they sort of disappear because you no longer matter that much, right? So that's the reality of the industry, and it's not a really bad thing. It's just something you have to know going into it.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite episode?
No, I didn't really. I wish I did, but I didn't. It's been so long, it's hard for me to remember what all the episodes were. But, no, I don't. I wish I did, but I don't.
My favorite episode is, I don't remember if you were on at the time, but it was like I think it was like a two-parter where John Glover has a disfigured face. Does that sound familiar?
Oh, yes, I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah, I think he won an Emmy for that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's a great episode.
Yeah, he's a terrific actor.
We just lost Larry Drake recently.
Oh, yeah, I know.
He was great in that show.
Yeah, he was wonderful. He was really wonderful.
Did you enjoy doing the TV movie reunion?
Yeah, it was fun. It was really difficult. I remember it was great to see everybody, and like someone like Corbin is so fun and so nice and, fun to be around.
Yeah.
Same with Jimmy Smith. Same with, Harry. They're all wonderful to hang out with. But at the time, I remember it was very difficult because my mother was having open heart surgery. She had just had a heart attack, and I was having to fight with Medicare constantly, and having to constantly call them and argue with them and push them to give approvals, for different a catheterization of her heart or all these things that had to happen before she could have surgery. And it was really stressful. I just remember I'd shoot a scene, we'd have 15 minutes while they relit, and I'd go outside and have to get some person on the phone. And, if you're calling Medicare, good luck with 15-minute window to get someone on the phone, And I just had to be fighting with them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just remember that was it. I just remember the really stressful thing.
Yeah, I was surprised. everybody came back for it, and I'm surprised it was even made.
Yeah.
I was really glad when it did. My favorite role you've ever played, and I think you should have gotten an Emmy for this. Your performance in the TV movie of the week, Posing.
Oh.
Yes. Your performance is so sweet and sincere. It's a character I can relate to because I've had self-esteem issues my whole life. I love it.
Yeah, well, I always try to find, even when you're in a show like that that movie was built on sort of like the title and everything. Ooh, the idea that we're going to have this sort of Playboy angle and whatnot. But, for me, I always try to look for what is the best, where is the character really human? You know what I mean? Even in a sort of sensational kind of project, you go, where is the person most human? Where is the person most vulnerable? Find that as the underpinning. And I always try to do that, So, and I enjoyed that. I had a really good time on that movie. I made some really good friends on that movie.
Yeah, I love your hairstyle in that movie especially. And I love the scene where you open up a can of whoop ass on the all-male office board. Love that scene.
I remember that, yeah.
And then in the next scene, you're at the bar and you flirt with the guy who becomes your boyfriend. You tell him he has nice eyes. He says thank you, and then you do this smile like, ooh, I got confidence now. Love that.
It was fun. It was a fun movie. I just got that next movie. I had a great time. Doing it.
Yeah, I have it on tape somewhere. I taped it off of Lifetime like 15 years ago or something. Did you interact at all with Linda Carter and Amanda Peterson?
A little bit with Amanda, and not too much with Amanda. She was just super busy, and with Linda Carter somewhat. We didn't shoot that many of our scenes together because they were like 3 separate stories.
Mm-hmm.
But we see each other in the makeup trailer and stuff, and they were very nice,
Yeah, it's sad we lost Amanda. I didn't see that one coming.
Oh no, that was a shock. That was a real shock.
Yeah. Did you ever really though get offered to pose for Playboy?
I did actually, and it was right around that LA Law time. But I wasn't going to do that. So like,
Oh, if you did, I would have gotten like a reissue of it because I got a lot of reissues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You had a small part in a movie called Stranger by Night, which I used to have on VHS too.
I don't even remember what that movie is.
Stephen Bauer, William Catt.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Jennifer Rubin. Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the scene where you and Stephen Bauer are talking, and he says, "How do you know him?" And you say, "I used to fuck him just a couple of times."
That's funny. I like that character. She was like really kind of like sweet and weird, and
Yeah.
She was just sort of like I liked her a lot. But she was just kind of hard and tough, and I like that because I get tired of playing like the sweet kind of especially at that time, like
Mm-hmm.
not I too old to be the girl next door, but like the woman next door.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised when I saw it, and I saw you playing that character, but I really liked it. Did you have any interaction with Jennifer Rubin?
No, I have none.
I've had her on the show, and I've hung out with her at a couple horror conventions. She's so much fun, I tell you. And
Okay. I never really worked with her at all. I did, the stuff with Steven, and that was really all I did. I remember a whole bunch of people got food poisoning on that shoot.
Oh my God.
Yeah, from the caterer. We got really bad food poisoning.
Oh God, I've heard so many bad catering stories on independent films. I mean, a lot.
Oh yeah, it's bad. Just, don't ever eat the fish, don't eat the chicken, only eat the vegetables, and, that's it.
Yeah, I was an extra in a music video, and we had like 30 pizzas delivered, and there was so much pizza left over, like literally every single one of us took some home.
Yeah, you have to just be careful in that sort of thing.
Yeah. They put two L's in your name, by the way, too.
I know. People always get that wrong. They always get it wrong. Always.
Yeah.
Always. And what are you doing? People just obviously are not paying too much attention, right?
Yeah. William Catt, you worked with him again in Daddy's Girl after that.
Oh yeah, worked with him a number of times.
Yeah, I met him last year at a convention. My dad looked exactly like him when I was growing up, and I showed him a picture. He was like, "Wow, I could be your uncle."
Yeah, no, he's a nice guy. I've worked with him a number of times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a very nice man. I enjoyed meeting him, and I met him on Friday night, and I remember on Sunday day I saw him like hanging over by the bathroom, like texting, and I said hi to him, and he was very nice again. You did
Yeah,
it.
he's a very nice man.
Mm-hmm. You did another movie that I owned called Stranger in the House.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you worked with my good friend Kathleen Kinmont. Do you have any great stories about Kathleen?
No, not really. We had fun. We were shooting in the townships outside of Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And and it was really nice too. It was like in the summer. It was really beautiful. It was, beautiful. I'd never been to Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
The city was just gorgeous, and we had a really good time on that shoot, actually.
Yeah. Did Kathleen though like make the whole crew crack up?
She's a pretty funny girl. Yeah, we had a fun time.
Yeah, I've had her on here twice, and I've hung out with her. She's loud and just really really funny, and I can tell her any dirty joke, any anecdote about my sex life, and she'll laugh out loud. I mean,
she was funny. She was fun. I didn't hang out with her that much because we had some together, but we had some where we were really not together at all. But she was a nice girl. I really liked her.
Yeah. It's Steve Railsback. I think he's a very underrated actor. I almost met him at a convention last September, but then he canceled that last minute, and I was disappointed. But yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that whole project. It was a lot of fun. I have really fond memories of that. The whole thing, the whole visit to Montreal was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like your short hair. And was it already like that before filming?
Yeah, I had cut my hair short. I have short hair now, and I had short hair then. They're the only times in my life that I've ever had short hair.
Mm-hmm. I remember there's a when you get there's a part where you get out of bed because you heard some noise, and they show close up of your toenails, and they were painted like white French tip. And I remember, and I've been painting my toenails since I was 13. I remember like pausing the tape and going, God, I wish mine looked that good.
Some makeup artist probably did that for me. So.
What, gave you a pedicure?
Yeah, probably. Someone must have, because I don't think I would have done it.
Yeah. So, what have you been up to these days?
I've taken, back in 2004, I sold my first novel to HarperCollins, which is a young adult novel.
Yeah.
Been in and out of development a number of times, and I think it's going to go back in again soon.
Yeah.
As a TV series, which is great. And then I sold another novel to Simon & Schuster a couple years later. called Keep Sweet. And I've been doing a lot of writing. I took about, I took almost 6 years off from work as an actress, and I'm just now getting ready to go back. My son had nothing serious. It wasn't like anything life-threatening, but my son had a number of surgeries. He was born with a cleft lip and a cleft palate, and he's adopted from Guatemala. And he needed to have this, like a fair number. You have like 6 surgeries in 7 years. And when I'm a single parent, I adopted him as a single parent, and you kind of, I started out thinking I was going to be, continue with my life as it was. I'd be a working actress, and I'd have this adorable child, and, I'd have a nanny like all my other friends. But I realized pretty early on, that my son had, he had lived in 5 places by the time he was 2 years old in Guatemala. He came home right before his 2nd birthday. And I sort of had this moment where you go, okay, I have a child who has these medical needs. He's going to have all these surgeries. He's lived in all these places. He's had a really unstable first 2 years of his life. So what am I going to do? What kind of parent am I going to be? And I kind of it took me a couple of years to really realize it. It took me about 2.5, almost 3 years to really get it. Because I kept working those first few years, but I was always scrambling. I was working crazy hours and babysitter and whatnot. And I just kind of had a moment where I thought, I have to be a full-time parent.
Yeah.
Until we've gotten to a certain point with all of this. And I really have to be, I have to be the person who's there, the person who goes to preschool, the person who picks him up, the person who makes dinner every night, the person who does the homework with him, and I just kind of, and I had this moment where I was like, well, that's what you're going to have to be. And I moved out of LA. I moved up to a small town, about an hour and a half from LA, a little mountain resort town called Lake Arrowhead, that I had been to many times as a teenager and whatnot. And it's a small town, has a really good school district. It's it's an hour and a half from LA. It's easy to get back. So for those reasons, I sort of said this town will work, and I moved up here, and it's been a really interesting time. It's in many ways it's great. It's it's a luxury to be a full-time parent, really. But it was also hard for me because I'm so accustomed to working and I'm so accustomed to being in the sort of that whole dynamic mentally and emotionally of the entertainment industry,
Yeah.
And to sort of step out of it was very, very. It's something I battled with the whole time, It wasn't like I just settled in and said, "Oh, I'm so relaxed now. I'm just going to be a mom." I was like a mom, but always feeling this sense of like, "Gosh, I've got to get back."
Yeah.
So, but it's been a great time. My son is 11 now. He's perfectly fine. And now I'm sort of like, he's old enough that I can go, oh, okay, now I can go back to work. So I'm just kind of starting, I'm just getting back into it and I'm getting new agents, but it's it's an interesting thing to step back in after you've been out of it, but exciting too.
Yeah, wow, that is very admirable and commendable, I'll tell you. And I hope you do get back into acting. It's really tough right now, I see.
Well, it's always tough, and it's tough, and it's tough at the age I'm at. There's not that much. There aren't that many roles for women my age. Even women who've been big movie stars or like doing TV.
Yeah.
And things that never used to happen.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of what it is. But I feel I love what I do. I'm good at what I do, and you always when you're not in it and you take time out, you always feel like, oh my God, am I ever gonna get back? Or oh, am I missing something? But sometimes you just have to make those choices and say, something is going to be fine.
Mm-hmm. I can see you on another ensemble show, like maybe even like a Desperate Housewives type of show.
Oh yeah, I love to work. I have a good attitude about it. I don't have a big ego about it. I just feel like, hey, I like to work. I just want to go back and enjoy it because it's a really fun job.
It certainly is. I'm just now realizing my dream and stuff. I had a car accident a couple years ago, and I was in a coma for 30 days.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And just in the last couple of years, I've been just hustling and trying to go for my dream and stuff as an actor, comedian, and I screenwrite, and I do this. I started doing this a year ago.
Oh great! Are you enjoying it?
Oh yeah, I'm just loving it. I'm talking to so many people I never thought that I was going to, like yourself and all. And yeah, I'm just loving it. In the beginning, I was kind of nervous a lot, and I stammered a lot, and I just was trying to figure everything out. But now I'm a lot more confident doing it.
Good, good. You certainly sound confident.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'd like to have you back on soon to talk about a couple other
Sure.
things that we didn't get to talk
Sure.
about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now we know how to be in touch, so we could pick another time that works.
Awesome, awesome. Michele, thank you so much for taking
Sure.
the time
Thank you
today.
for having me. It's great talking to you.
Yes, and can I add you as a friend on Facebook?
Absolutely.
Great. You have yourself a great day and a great St. Patty's Day
You
weekend.
too. You too. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. Michele Greene. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Michele. You were very insightful, informative, and an absolute sweetheart. And I have to say it one more time. You were an absolute sweetheart. If you like this video, everybody, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter, add me as a friend on Facebook, and join my Tommy Kovac comedian page, and all that fun stuff. Well, this is all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Happy St. Patty's Day, and Gora Debs, and Gora Debs, and Gora Debs. Later, dudes.